So, I know it's been a couple months since I posted my last video, and it took forever for me to do something like this again because I'm not gonna lie, postpartum has hit me tremendously where I sometimes can't even get out of myself, sometimes get out of being a mother. And so I don't know what I'm gonna call this video. I know that this topic's gonna be about my labor and delivery and life after the baby and having a baby and stuff, what's going on right now. Okay, so for an update, before I go into this, I am 21 years old. I have a beautiful 10-month-old baby boy. His name is Jordan. He was born September 27, 2019 at 6:01 p.m. And it was on a Friday. If you hear the background noises while I'm talking or anything, that is my son. So he's in this talking stages, like he doesn't say words, he just yaps. But yeah, you know how baby talk and stuff. And so I think it's my time where I really need to let my story be heard and what happened, because I think that there's going to be plenty of more African American young pregnant women as myself, because I gave birth when I was like 20, and they might go through something similar, and I just want you to be very, I want y'all to be acknowledged and know what's going to happen. Like, everything might not happen the same way, but I just want you to know my story so you can know and be aware of things. So where should I start so the story don't be everywhere and this doesn't be a whole hour long? So I'm gonna shorten it up, but I'm gonna explain the very important parts. And so I know the dates. I'm gonna give you the dates, I'm gonna give you the times, all of that, okay? Because trust me, when you have this baby and later on in life, you're gonna remember, okay, 20 something years, you're probably not gonna remember every single detail, but you're gonna remember because it's like a highlighting moment for you. Okay, so where should I start? So I had an appointment on Thursday morning at 10 a.m. But prior to my appointment on Wednesday night, I want to say around like 6 o'clock. I know the time because, you know, you're gonna remember it. So I went to the bathroom Wednesday at 6 o'clock, somewhere around that time frame at night. Went to the bathroom. I was like 37 weeks and 3 days around that time, 2 days around that time. I had just turned 37 weeks. And when I was using the bathroom, I could have sworn I heard a pop. But I don't know. I thought I heard a pop, like my water started pop or something. But, you know, I could have been tripping because prior to that, I've been having scares that, oh, my baby's coming, and he wasn't coming. I always go back and forth to my hospital because my hospital was like 20 minutes away from my house. I gave birth at the Presbyterian in Dallas. So I didn't know. So I heard my water pop, something pop. So let's go on to Thursday morning. I had a checkup at 10 a.m. and I kept leaking fluids. Like, yes, it's common for you to pee a little bit when you're pregnant, but my leaking was coming erratically, like that. Like, come on, I wasn't peeing on myself like that, and it's been happening since I popped. I heard that pop, but you know, wasn't tripping. I thought I was tripping or something, so I was gonna ask about that on my appointment. So my appointment came, and voila, I asked them to check me because I felt like my water was leaking. And she was like, no, you're fine. You're only like 37 weeks and 4 days now. You're fine. It's probably just your mucus plug, or you're just peeing on yourself. So all that fluid coming out of me. So you mean to tell me I'm just peeing on myself? I think I know if I'm peeing on myself. Okay, before I didn't, but I wouldn't pee on myself that much, would I? No. Whew. So I asked her again. I said, I understand that, but you can still give birth when you're 37 weeks. So can you please, on safety measures, please check me? She didn't want to. It was a black woman. Okay? Yes. Black woman. And it's not all about race, but on my circumstances, looking back, I feel as though it is, because the measures I had to go to was I had to go through a clinic, because from the very beginning I tried to get my own OBGYN, and and while I was getting to that, let me tell you, if you watched my last video, I told y'all I found out I was pregnant when I was 2 months pregnant. I didn't find out right away, and around that time, doctors do not want to see you when you're further along, okay? At a certain limit. Hold on. There you go, Jordan. Say hi to the people. That's Jordan. I was trying to show him later on, but he didn't want me to, so he didn't want me to be great. Okay. Where was I? Okay, so like I was saying, they won't see you at a certain time of your pregnancy. I was reaching to that limit, so I was 14 weeks, 15 weeks, whatever. And I was trying to get my OBGYN. They're like, okay, just give proof of pregnancy and all of that and all those other documents and we'll be good. When I got all that, I got back on the phone with them. I was scratching 16 weeks. And they're like, oh, well, we can't see you now. You're too further in your appointment. I'm like, why didn't you tell me this before I got on the phone with you that you had a limit? Right? So I had to go through a clinic where they check me every day and all that. And you go to a clinic when you don't really have that much. You can't afford OBGYNs and stuff like that when you had the chance, but you couldn't. So I had to go do the clinic, and I was on Medicaid. So back to the story. So she didn't want to check me. She was like, you're good, you're fine, there's nothing wrong. She didn't check me. So I left the hospital. I was agitated. No, the clinic, sorry, not the hospital. I was agitated, and so I went to go get some food, and I didn't eat because I was irritated. And that day felt different than any other day of me feeling irritated, because I was big, I was irritated, I was leaking, and this female didn't want to check me when I asked her to. On safety measures, she was like, we don't really check until you're in like 38 or 40 weeks. Okay. So they need to change that policy. Let me tell you that right here. Because you can give birth at 37 weeks. So I went home, took a nap. I mean, mind you, it's 10 o'clock. I went to sleep, and I slept so long. When I woke up, it was like 8 p.m. 10 to 8? That's a whole shift. I was sleepy. Pregnant girls sleep long, okay? So because the appointment was fast. So sorry if you see my face. I'm looking at my son because he's doing too much. All right. So I woke up at 8. I looked down. I was drenched. My panties, all of that was drenched. And I'm like, okay now. This is my fucking water. I'm not just peeing on myself, okay? You got me fucked up if you think I'm just peeing on myself. So this is pee? Oh, this is pee? Okay. Okay, so I brought my mom in because I'm with my parents. Brought my mom in my room and I was like, so they mean to tell me that this is pee? I think something's wrong. I'm gonna go get checked in the hospital. I don't care where, because they got me messed up, really, and I'm not about to have my baby right now, and y'all could have checked me when y'all had the chance. So I called them just to make sure it was okay. I was going regardless of what they said, but I'm just letting them know that I'm going to a hospital to get checked. So I called my clinic. I told them I had an appointment that morning and y'all didn't want to check me, and I'm still going through issues where I'm leaking a lot, so I'm going to a hospital. And they're like, oh, no. Don't go to any hospital. Only the one that you're supposed to give labor in, because if you are in labor, they won't let you leave. So just come to us. I'm like, so I had to do another 20-minute drive when I should have done that in the first place earlier that day. I just said, okay. So I went to Presbyterian, where I was supposed to give birth at. And sure enough, they checked me. My water had, what's the word? It was, my water had fudge nuggets. An airhead moment. It's gonna come back to me. It's gonna come back to me. Yes, it is. Give this to me. Give it to me. Sorry.
Maybe.
My water had punctured. That's the word I'm gonna use. My water had punctured, so that means that I was in labor. And so I told them I had an appointment. They're like, what were you doing? Why didn't you come right away? Because I was telling them that I felt like this was going on for a while. They're like, why didn't you come right away? I was like, oh, well, I tried. I said I had an appointment that morning, and the nurse didn't want to check me when I kept telling her. And they were like, what nurse? They were asking me who it was, and I told them, like, that's our head nurse. I'm like, that's your head nurse. And she should know. When a woman is telling you that there's so much fluids coming out of her body, like it's coming out, like looking like water, and you're not gonna check her? Okay, I see what y'all on. So that's not on the race bit. That's just on not caring. Okay, I'm a black woman telling you that I feel like I'm about to have a pain, that I'm about to have my baby. Oh, you're fine. Okay. I'm fine, okay. I'm fine, about to have my baby. That's just fine. Great. So, they kept me, and it was like scratching 10 o'clock, and they told me I was in labor for about 24 hours already. I'm about to whoop your butt. I'm not whooping him, I'm just kidding. And that, So, you don't want me to be great. Okay, so, they kept me, and it was scratching 10 o'clock, so I didn't give birth that night, but everything went fine, okay? The next day came, I asked for my epidural, they gave it to me. Everything was fine. I went up to 10 centimeters. I was ready to push. Let me tell you who was in the room with me. It was my mother, my sister, and my baby daddy, the father. And let me tell you, that whole time was stressful for me because they were eating when they know I couldn't eat nothing the whole time until I gave birth. So I was starving, but I couldn't eat. All they were giving me was apple juice and water. So then me and my baby daddy we were getting into it around the same time. Not a good picture, right? Not a good picture. So I was kind of being rude to him, which is okay. I'm about to give birth, so what? So when it was time for me to push, I was like, oh my God, thank you, Jesus. I don't take this baby out of me. So my nurse was so nice. She was such a nice nurse, and I loved her, okay? I loved her. So she was like, it's time to push. Let's go. Everything was going smoothly. I was hemming out, right? Because I did a natural. But she was like, I'm worried because this baby's facing kind of like this way when he's supposed to be head down. They're like, okay, you might have to do C-section. But they're like, no, we're going to do this natural. So I was pushing. His head was between my legs. Everything was going great. We saw his legs. It was in between my legs. But guess what? They were like, you need to stop. Just stop. I'm like, what's going on? They're like, he's like, it was a white doctor. He was like, I have another patient that I have to go work on. She's in C-section and she's in distress, so I'm gonna need you to hold for an hour. An hour? Hold on. An hour? I'm back. Okay. So, an hour? You want me to wait an hour? Is that healthy? Is that good? So you can go help another patient? Okay. So I was like, okay, I'll wait an hour. That hour I waited was the hardest hour of my life. When I was doing it, pushing, before I waited an hour or so, it was easy. Everything was good. It was going slowly, but then when I would have to wait, that's when stuff started going downhill. And this is where I'm saying where I feel as though they don't treat me. They didn't treat me, and I'm reading a lot of other cases. These are us black females or any type of race, but most likely they feel as though we don't feel any pain or that we'll be fine, right? So I waited an hour, and like I said, it was the hardest hour ever, but an hour passed, and it was like, what? I held at 3:33 something. It was like, what, 4:30, right? So I'm like, okay, it's been an hour. Where's he at? I feel like I need to use number 2, because when you need to use number 2, that means this baby's ready to come out. I felt like I need to use number 2, and it was like I was on fire. Like, I felt my epidural had worn out. I was on fire. It felt like fire down there. I was like, I can't wait in an hour. I can't wait in an hour. What is this doctor? 15 minutes pass. 30 minutes pass. Where the fuck is this doctor? I'm sorry. Where the heck is this doctor? So it's like 4:45. This doctor, nowhere to be found. Called the nurse back in there, told her, I can't wait anymore. I'm pushing this baby out right now without your help. So she came rushing in there. She's like, we're gonna get this baby out right now without this doctor. So she helped me push, and it was so hard. Like, I've started to be in tears now. And finally the doctor came when the head was crowning me. When I was crowning his head finally, that means he was almost out. The hard part was out the way, which I feel as though, yes, these doctors help us give birth, but the nurses, they are number one. They do the rough part, and while the doctor do the other part. Nurse was number one for me. I loved her, and I appreciate her. But once the doctor came and took over, that's when, like, I couldn't push no more. He kept telling me, push, push, push. I felt like I didn't have any more air to push. So he put a mask on my face. And I heard them whispering to themselves, and then they were in a panic. I'm just going to tell you what I seen, and then I'm going to tell you what my mom seen. So it was just, they were talking to each other in code, and it was just very frantic, and it was like a need for me to get this baby out of me. Like, they said, we need to hurry up and get him out. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, of course, I couldn't ask what's going on because I couldn't really breathe. I couldn't push this baby out. I was too worried about getting this baby out. So I started pushing. Finally, he slid up out of me. But the problem was, I couldn't hear him. He didn't cry. I was like, what's wrong with my baby? Why is he not crying? I waited 2 seconds, still not crying. Waited 20 seconds, still not crying. What's wrong with my baby? Couldn't hear my baby for a minute. It's like, I started being frantic. Like, around that time, my baby did tear me, and I couldn't hear him, and I was losing a lot of blood because of what happened. Because there's some shit that happened, but of course I don't know because I'm the one going through it. So I'm explaining to you what I seen, and I'm explaining to you what my mom told me what happened, which is the messed up part of it all. And so I was losing a lot of blood. I guess I lost some stuff that I wasn't supposed to lose, and I kept asking him, what's wrong? And he finally said, your baby's fine. I just need to focus on you. Calm down, please. I'm like, focus on me? Because I did feel like I was dizzy, and I felt like I was about to pass out. Like, I don't know. If I would have passed out, I probably wouldn't have opened my eyes back up. But I was too worried about my baby to worry about myself. So he just told me he was fine, but I didn't hear him. He didn't cry, so how is he freaking fine? 5 minutes later, this all happened in 5 minutes, okay? 5 minutes later, I did finally hear my baby cry. The nurses, there was a whole swarm of nurses that ran in to help the doctor with the baby while the doctor was helping me. So what they were doing is trying to make the baby breathe, because my baby wasn't breathing for 5 minutes. They were working on him, then all of a sudden I heard him, and like, I felt like I wanted to cry. Like, I heard my baby. That's my baby. And so he stitched me back up, and they handed me my baby. Now let me tell you what happened in my mom's view. So I'm pushing right when they put that mask on my face. My mom said that they were saying the baby's heartbeat was going low. Like, they had put me in distress. And the cord had wrapped around my baby's arm, which is why it was so hard to push. My baby was fine before they made me wait 1 hour and 40 minutes. They do that to anybody else who was paying good? No. They probably went to her because she didn't have to do the resources that I had. You know, you can argue with me on that all day. I went through it. I know what I went through. I know what. So Please don't argue with me in the comment section if y'all feel the need to put your 2 cents in. Cool. But all I know was what happened with me and how I felt. Okay. So, the cord was wrapped around my baby's arm, and his heartbeat was going low. So when they finally got him out, that's why he wasn't breathing. And I had lost some stuff in me that I was not supposed to lose. So that's why the doctor could not tend to the baby. He had to let the nurses tend to the baby. He had to tend to me so I don't lose my life because of the negligence that they had offsprung on me by making me wait 1 hour and 40 minutes. I've never heard of that. But so my baby finally breathed. My mom said when the doctor was working on me, she seen him praying for me, because that's how bad of the situation that I was in. So they had put me in. So finally had my baby though. I was fine. Like, I started not to even think about everything else. I was just happy that I had my baby. And later on, when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, how the hospitals and how they treat us African women. I see so many cases of Black women losing their life because of negligence. The doctors telling them that they are fine. Baby girls, if you're African American, whatever, I hear you. You are not fine. When you say you're not fine, you're not. And that's when you repeatedly tell them, I need you to do this. I don't care what you want to do. You're going to do it. I'm in pain. We just need to step up and take control of our bodies. Because I've read so many stories of us losing our life because of negligence. Because they think that we don't have pain, but we do. Just like anybody else. Our pain tolerance is not higher than any. No. When we're saying we're not fine, we're not fine. So, postpartum. I'm shortening this up because I don't want this video to be super long. So, I went to my postpartum room. By the time they tried to make me use the bathroom, couldn't walk, couldn't get up, couldn't do nothing. But they would force me to do that so I can do my first pee. And it felt like, when I stood up, it felt like I couldn't feel my insides of my stomach or whatever down there. And I felt so much pain. It was so horrible. I could barely walk. And they wanted me to pee. My best friend had to help me because the nurse was incapable of helping me. I'm not going to go too much on there. So, I used the bathroom finally, but it was tough. Postpartum was tough. Sponsored by myself, really, because my mom went out of town and she couldn't cancel it because she had already paid for it. I didn't want to give her money back for it, so she had to go. So I don't blame her for that. My dad's came and spent the night the most he can, but my dad, but he did the best he can. And my child's father came to the night some nights for me because I spent like 3 days in the hospital. After it, I spent like 2 days. So my dad didn't spend the night because he just came during the day and stuff because he had to work. And then my child's father spent the night one night, and then he had to go home the next day because he had to go to work himself, go back to work. And then my aunt Ted came, spent the time with me. Then Saturday night, I spent it by myself because I left Sunday. No, I left Monday, sorry, because I gave birth on Friday. And my child's father spent the night with me that night. Then Saturday, for Monday. Okay, so Saturday night, I think my child's father spent the night with me again. Yes, he did. Then Sunday night, I spent by myself. And then that was like a bonding experience for me and my child. And like, it was kind of hard for me because I didn't know what to do by myself. It's like, how would I know if he needs to use the bathroom or what? They're like, it'll come instinct for you. And it did. It did. Okay. And so I left Monday, was discharged out of the hospital Monday morning. Like, what they did was they came in, asked me if I was going to breastfeed, which I was going to breastfeed, and have formula too, because I'm not sure if I want to produce enough. I produced up to 2 weeks, and then my baby went on formula. So whatever's best for you, okay? So yes, whatever's best for the baby, but if you cannot produce from breastfeeding, you do not down yourself or listen to other people. Do what is best for you as well. Okay? Okay. Before anybody try to... There you go. So that's how my postpartum went. And some days I felt like I wasn't enough. Some days I felt very horrible. Some days I felt great. That's life. So that's going to be it for this video. Next video I'll probably do is, I don't know, it's going to be random. It's going to be up there soon. I want to try not to do it every 5 months. I'm going to try to do it consecutively. Okay, and I really want to let you young people know and be knowledgeable and stuff. So I'll update y'all. So I'll get an outro whenever I can. So bye.